Hello, everyone out there in Rumble X and YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego. And today we're going to, continue to talk more about Wicked. That's right, Wicked, which is on streaming now. You can watch it. If you want to buy it, you can, or if not, there's other ways to watch it. You know that. Okay, I recently saw it again. Okay, I went to the sing-along version. I talked about that in the last video, where you actually got to sing. Now, there are some good songs on here. I'm not taking anything away from the talent. With the people that made this movie are very talented. Some of the songs are pretty good. I think that song "Popular" it sticks in my head. It just won't go away. I wish it would, you know. So there's definitely some good songs in there. And something else, I have an update here. I eventually got to what I did is I went on YouTube. If you go on YouTube, there you'll see you can watch the Broadway show. Okay, there's like bootleg versions of it on YouTube. All right, so I have never seen the whole show at all. So I decided that since I'm reviewing the movie, if I know what happens at the end of the Broadway show, which is what this movie is based on, not the book, the Broadway show, okay, it might give me more context into some of the things that I'm talking about here, okay? Because like I said, I've never seen the Broadway show. So what I did was, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I went on YouTube and I watched the second act two. Okay, I watched Act Two of this show on YouTube, with the actors, the singers, on stage. So I know what happens now, all right? Now, is the movie going to do that? I don't know. The second act of the play, of the Broadway show, was an hour long, a little bit over an hour, okay? So that means that they're going to have to take an hour worth of the Broadway show and stretch it out into 2.5 hours for part two, okay? So obviously, they're going to drag things out, or they're going to add in things, okay? So my best guess is what they're going to do is they're probably going to add in some stuff, okay? Now, I already told you I read the book. Okay, I read it a long time ago. A lot of things in the book, you got to understand, don't jive up with the movie or the Broadway show, okay? For example, Elphaba does die at the end of Wicked. At the end of the book here, she actually does die. Okay, she didn't fake her death. She wasn't faking her being allergic to water. No. She died. Okay, and Dorothy killed her. Yes, just like you saw in the original movie. Okay, there was no faking it so that her and the Scarecrow, who's really Fiyero, could run off together. That didn't happen. Okay, so just so you know that never happened. All right. There was the issue with Bach becoming the Tin Woodman, and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, none of this stuff, nothing in the Wicked book is canon. Okay, none of that was created by L. Frank Baum. Okay, it's fan fiction made by Gregory Maguire. Now, if you remember about 10 years ago, actually 11 years ago, there was a movie directed by Sam Raimi called Oz the Great and Powerful, and that basically does what Wicked does. It was a prequel. It was a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. And in that one, you actually got to see how Oscar Diggs went from being a carnival, magician or whatever, slash, prophet. Okay, like what's his name? What Professor Marvel was in the original Wizard of Oz movie. Professor Marvel, yeah, like that. Okay, and how he was a hustler, he was a con man. Okay, and how he escaped a jealous husband. I guess he'd been boning the guy, the strong man's wife or something. So he was being chased. He got in a balloon, and unfortunately, he flew into a tornado, which dropped him off on Oz. Okay, on that one, we got to see a lot of other things that do not line up with this movie. Okay, I do recommend Oz the Great and Powerful. I know it didn't do very well in the theaters, but I did take my family to go see it when it came out 11 years ago, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Looking at the backstory behind Oscar Diggs, played by James Franco. I know he's blacklisted now, okay, because of the Me Too movement and all that. But he actually made some really good movies, not just the Spider-Man movies. He actually done some really good movies before, okay, that I enjoyed, and this was one of them, okay? He's a talented actor. I know, like Hollywood won't touch him today. Even his best friend, Seth Rogen, disowned him for all that stuff. Like he doesn't have skeletons in his own closet, all right? But James Franco played Oscar Diggs, the Wizard of Oz, and it was a pretty good adaptation. It showed you how Glinda the Good Witch was actually his girlfriend, and there was a love triangle between him and the Wicked Witch of the West, who started off being a nice girl, but whatever. There was some good stuff in there, with the monkeys and it showed you how he used his mechanical devices to project a giant head of himself that could fool people into thinking that he actually had magical powers when he didn't. Okay, he brought in his toolbox. Okay, he actually Oscar Diggs' character actually was he was what do you call it? He worshipped basically. He was not a protege, but he was a sycophant of the real wizard, the Wizard of Menlo Park, who was Thomas Edison. Okay, a very famous man back then, at the turn of the century, 1800s. You know, obviously gave us the light bulb, and so Oscar Diggs was very much in awe of Thomas Edison and wanted to be a wizard like Thomas Edison. Okay, he was actually known as the Wizard of Menlo Park. Okay, so so that's why he called himself the Wizard. You know, based on the Wizard of Menlo Park. Okay, he was a real person even during L. Frank Baum's days. Okay, when he wrote the book. Okay, so that's where all that came from. Okay, but I enjoyed that movie a lot. It's a totally different take on this. And that one, I don't remember the Wicked Witch of the West and the Witch. I don't remember the real names. Okay, it definitely was not Elphaba, was not her name. I think it was something else. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to watch that movie again and look it up. But they were evil. Okay. The Wicked Witch of the West did not start off evil, but she became evil. And the other sister, the Wicked Witch of the East, was evil all the whole time. Okay, so that whole thing with that, you know, how they were controlling Oz and all that was, you know, he was basically there to depose a tyrant. Okay, and luckily they did depose of her. Okay, the movie Oz the Great and Powerful was set up to be like a trilogy. It's supposed to be a new franchise, but unfortunately the first movie did not do very well, despite the fact that Sam Raimi directed it. Sam Raimi, of course, did all the Spider-Man movies. And if you're a nerd like me, you know that he did the Evil Dead movies back in the 80s and 90s. That's where he first got started. He did Darkman. He did a lot of things. He even did a Marvel movie. He did Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Okay, he did that movie. Okay, I think he did it for a paycheck. But anyway, he's a very talented director. He did a really good job with this movie. So I highly recommend you watch Oz the Great and Powerful. It'll kind of give you a little bit of the backstory about who Oscar Diggs was and why he became the wizard in a way that this movie did not, or the Broadway show didn't. Even the book didn't. Okay, in this movie, Oscar Diggs is portrayed. He is the Wizard of Oz, but he's portrayed as a big asshole. Okay, and you can even call him a racist. Okay, although the euphemism here, it's a metaphor for racism. It's speciesism. Okay, so basically everyone's prejudiced against the animals. Okay, you know, but we all know what they really mean. It could be, you know, the gays run Oz. Okay, if you look at the people that go to Shiz University, they're all gay. All right, so you're not going to be able, you know, if anything, it's the straights being persecuted there. Okay, wow. I know, right? Art imitates life and vice versa, right? Like, it's the straight people that are being persecuted, okay, in Shiz University, all right? Just like here, okay? Well, not where I live, but like in L.A., you know, in California. Oh yeah. Yeah, just try to be a straight white male and get something done over there, dude. You will get kicked out so fast. Anyway, so but you know that's about to change. Thank God. Anyway, So so this movie, Oz the Great and Powerful, of course, go watch it. It's really good. I highly recommend it. Okay, now in this movie, like I said, the wizard is portrayed as an asshole. Okay, Jeff Goldblum, he's trying to manipulate things. Okay, and he knows that the best way to get people together is to make a villain. Now, this is always worked in history. If you look at history, it's always been this way. The way to get people together is you create a villain. If there's no villain available, then you make one up. Okay, if you think about it, look at 9/11. Okay, when that happened, okay, you know, I mean, the Democratic Party, I mean, Democratic and Republicans, they were on opposite ends. Okay, it's always been that way my entire life. Okay, they've always hated each other. Okay, but back then when September 11th happened, okay, now you had an event that everybody could get behind. You know, whether you're Democrat or Republican, it didn't fucking matter. Okay, everybody felt that day. Okay, the damage that had been done to our country that day, and everyone pretty much united. Okay, all the parties, it was bipartisan all the way, that we needed to go out there, you know, and you know, and put foot to ass, okay, because of what happened to us on September 11th. We need to go find Bin Laden, and we need to make Al Qaeda pay. Okay, everybody was on board with that. Okay, everybody was on board with that. Republicans, Democrats, it didn't matter. Everybody was on board. Let's go find this fucker, and let's stop this shit. Okay, so you need an event. It brings people together. It always has. Okay, now just because there's an event, you also got to remember that, you know, a lot of this stuff is being manipulated. Okay, a lot. Look what's happened with Trump lately. Okay, I mean, what they did is in order to get rid of this guy, they had to paint him as a villain. Okay, they had to make him evil. The media had to make him evil so that the country could get band together and get rid of this guy. You know, put him in jail, bankrupt him, you know, smear his reputation, sue him until he's broke. And yes, kill him too. All these tactics were done, and it didn't work. It didn't work because what was being told by the mainstream media and what he was actually doing, judging him based on what he actually did. You got to remember, he was already president for 4 years. He was already the leader for 4 years. And all this stuff that they kept saying he was going to do, he never did when he was in charge. He never did those things. So there was no evidence to corroborate that he would do these things once he became president again. You see what I mean? Because he never did it before. These were all lies that were being spread to demonize him so that you would go against him, so that you wouldn't vote for him. To keep the current party, the party that keeps telling you how we're the good guys and you're the bad guys. The party keeps telling you think like us or else we're coming after you too. Okay? That sort of cancel culture, okay, that sort of witch hunting, it only works for so long and eventually it just goes away. Okay? And because our current administration did such a terrible job, I mean, have you seen the price of bread today? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much everything went up. Okay? And when you think about what the current administration is doing, and then all these promises that are being made, oh, well, when I become president, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Well, you're already second in command and you haven't done any of this shit. And now you're going to do it when you become, are you out of your freaking mind? All evidence to the contrary is nothing based on what you've done is going to prove that you're not going to keep doing what you're doing. You see what I mean? We need a change. Something's got to change. Because let me tell you, China is ready to take the top spot. And do you really think China is going to be nice to us? Okay, when they become the number one economy in the world, do you really think they're going to be give us special preferred treatment? No, they're not. They're not. Okay, because they're not about individuality like we are in this country. This country is about the people. China is about it's about the ants. It's about the ant farm. You sacrifice yourself for the good of the ant farm. It's not like that over here. That's why we have to be number one. To preserve this way of life, to show everyone, the rest of the world, that this way of life works. We have a terrible leader. We get a new one. We elect a new one. We don't assassinate him. We don't put him in jail if we think he's going to win, or too many people like him. We don't try to get rid of the guy. No, we don't do that here. We're not supposed to. You see what I mean? Anyway, I didn't mean to get political there, but I'm just trying to point out, because that's what's happening to Elphaba in this movie, is they created a smear campaign on her because she wouldn't go along with the program. Okay? She wouldn't be one of the good old boys. Everyone else is doing it, but she goes up to the Emerald City, talks to the wizards, and says, no, I ain't gonna be a part of this. No. I know you guys are all the cool kids, and I've wanted to be like you because I've been an outcast my whole life, but now that I see what you're really doing, I want nothing to do with it. In fact, I'm gonna go against you. And that she won't toe the line. She will not toe the line. And unlike Glinda, who actually wants to be accepted by the popular kids, the ruling class of Oz, she does want to toe the line because she knows where her bread, what side of the bread it's buttered. What side her bread is buttered. Okay, and she don't want to rock the boat. She has her own political aspirations, and she can't go against the people that can get her where she wants to be. So she's going to toe the line and go along with the propaganda. You see what I mean? Whereas Elphaba won't. And there's dignity there, okay? You can respect a character like that, okay? Which is why the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba, is not wicked at all. It's a misnomer on purpose. She was labeled as wicked, doesn't mean she is. Just like, with Trump. He was labeled as some a German dictator from the 30s and 40s, which he most definitely was not, okay? Anyway, so moving right along, where did we leave off last time? Okay, we had the train scene. Okay, now that's the one where Elphaba got invited to visit the Wizard of Oz at the Emerald City. She got an official invitation, so she's going to go. A lot of the students, the classmates there, that are all gay, they're all wishing her goodbye, wishing her good luck. She's getting on the train, and she's going to go to the Emerald City, right? And Glinda, of course, is there because they're best friends. And Fiyero shows up. Fiyero is the man that Glinda and Elphaba are both in love with. Okay, Glinda is average looking, Elphaba is dog ugly, and Fiyero is a super good looking gay guy pretending to be a straight guy, played by a 37-year-old, 20-year-old. Okay, anyway, he has feelings for Elphaba because this movie was written by gay guys, okay, for feminists. And we all know that ugly women always get the high value men whenever those two things are combined. Okay, just like in this movie, because it's realistic that way. We all know it's true, right? 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 Of course it is. Anyway, so don't pay attention to that. Just go with it, okay? And so anyway, Fierro's in love with her, and they say goodbye to each other. Glinda is oblivious. All she knows is that Fierro, her boyfriend, is not giving her the TLC that he used to. Well, I don't think he ever really did. Okay, he seems to be giving all of his, his longing glances to Elphaba, and Elphaba vice versa. Now, Glinda decides that, she wants to be an activist, of course, because everybody, you have to be an activist, otherwise you're a bad guy. If you're not an activist, you're one of the bad guys. Just like in real universities, right? No difference in Shiz University. They got their own Antifa too, okay? Which, of course, Elphaba is a proud member of, okay? Because she doesn't like the way the animals are being treated. Okay, Glinda doesn't really give a crap. She never even liked the goat that was, that was fired and, and taken away by the Nazis in class. So Dr. Dillamon, her professor, so she decides that she's going to protest, okay, in solidarity, and she's going to change her name officially from Galinda to just Glinda. Okay, and of course her gay friends are all like, oh my god, that's so brave. They're all like eating out her pussy and everything like that. Whatever. Anyway, Fierro says goodbye to Elphaba and wishes her luck and walks away, gives her the flower that he had here because he's straight, so of course he has a flower here. Okay, and he walks away to his boyfriend. Now, Glinda's pissed off that he didn't say goodbye to her. Now the train's pulling out of the station. It's about to go. Of course, the only person the train's waiting for is Elphaba. No one else is getting on the train to go to Emerald City. So all this shit is for nothing, okay? But Elphaba gets on the train, says goodbye, okay? She gives one to Glinda, one of these, okay, to show that they're still friends, because that's this part of this interpretive dance they did earlier in the movie when they went to the gay bar, okay? And so Glinda's like, and then of course she forgets to give her something. She had actually a brochure in her purse. She forgot to give it to Elphaba. The train's moving away, so she's like, oh wait, Elphie, wait, and she gives her the brochure, okay, which is basically a tour guide of the Emerald City. Okay, so she'll know where to go. Okay, I think there was a note in there or a card in there or something, right? So they applaud, they wish Elphaba well. Okay, Glinda make eye contact, they do the forehead move. Okay, Glinda chases after the train as it pulls out to give Elphaba an Emerald City guidebook. That's what it was, an Emerald City guidebook. Okay, Elphaba opens it and Glinda wrote a little note in there inside the cover. And the note says, in her handwriting, it says, I hope you get what your heart denies. Galinda. Okay? I hope you get what your heart denies. In other words, I hope that, you find love because you act like you don't give a shit about people loving you and liking you. You act like it doesn't matter what people think about you. You act like, you're the stoic person, who things don't bother her. But, you're not fooling anybody. Okay, clearly you're very sensitive, and clearly you want the approval of others, and clearly you want a boyfriend. Okay? So I hope you get those things despite the fact that, you're dog ugly. Okay? I call it like I see it, all right? Hey, Cynthia Erivo is an incredible actress. She pulls this off very well. If Elphaba was beautiful, I would be like, what the fuck is she worried about? Okay? But she's not. Okay? No offense to Cynthia Erivo. I don't think she even gives, if she's watching this, which she's not, I don't think she would give a crap. She's not even attracted to guys in real life. But, and I'm, which is fine, The feeling's mutual, Cynthia Erivo, okay? But the point is that Elphaba, of course, by nature, she cannot be attractive. Okay, Margaret Hamilton was not attractive when she played the Wicked Witch of the West in the original 1939 Wizard of Oz. They picked her specifically because she was not attractive, and then they put prosthetics on her face on top of that. Now, initially, when they did the 1939 Wizard of Oz movie, they actually hired, I don't remember her name, but they hired a beautiful woman to play the Wicked Witch of the West. And the director looked at this, oh no, this ain't gonna work. We can't sell this. The witch needs to be ugly. So they recast her. They got Margaret Hamilton. Okay, nothing against Margaret Hamilton. I heard she's a sweetheart. She suffered a lot to get the original movie done. She suffered third-degree burns. Okay, that the green makeup of hers was extremely flammable. Okay, and remember when she teleported in the original movie? She teleported through fireballs. Fire, yes, they used real fire. Okay, on a very flammable makeup. Okay, so yeah, she suffered third-degree burns. Okay, so my hat's off to her, man. She went through a lot for that role. But I'll what my point was. Anyway, so the point is that Elphaba, of course, being unattractive and all these things, Glinda wants her to be happy. Okay, so that's actually an unselfish thing. It was a very nice thing that she wrote. Well, this stirs up all these emotions in Elphaba. Okay, Glinda is basically the only friend she's ever had, the only friend she's ever had. Okay, and she just wrote something very nice for her. Okay, so for her, for Elphaba, this is gold. These are the things that she lives for, that she just realized that are really important to her. Okay, is when the people that she loves love her back. So because of this, because she's touched with the sincerity, she actually screams at Elfie, who's running after the train, like, "Hey, come with me. Come on, you and me. Let's just do this." You know, which I thought was very touching, you know, because and one of the things I really like about this movie is that it's not just Elphaba's story. Okay, it's Glinda's story too. They're together in this. Okay, now in the original Wizard of Oz, we had two opposing forces. We had Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, who represented the good virtues of Oz, and then you had the Wicked Witch of the West, who represented the evil, the bad virtues of the bad vices of Oz. Okay, so you had two polar opposites. Okay, but both were of equal power. And Dorothy was in the middle between these two forces, okay? So if you're going to display that there's two forces, one positive and one negative, and you're making a movie about the negative girl, you need to show what's going on with the positive girl as well. And I like the fact that the story is about both of them. It's about their relationship. Okay, the Good Witch of the North and the Wicked Witch of the West. It's their relationship, their story. Okay, both have character arcs. Okay, both have things that they're trying to overcome. They both have different goals. They have these different characteristics, okay, but they're mutually bonded. Now, I know that the good guy and the bad guy starting off as best friends, I know it's a cliche. It's been done to death. Okay, pretty much every movie you've ever seen, okay, or short story or whatever, okay, the good guy and the bad guy started off as best friends, remember? And then they became enemies. That's X-Men, that's Professor X and Magneto, that's Superman and Lex Luthor, okay, that's pretty much everybody, all right? They always started off as best friends and they became villains, all right? They became opposing opposites, all right? So, and this is no different. Okay, but I like the fact that you get to see both of them. Okay, they're both going through their own changes here. Okay, and they're not portrayed. Elpha's not portrayed as being better than Glinda. Okay, just because she's nicer than Glinda and less narcissistic doesn't mean that she's better than Glinda. Okay, Glinda's got some positive qualities too. Okay, they both have positive and negative qualities. Okay, and I like the fact that they're both treated kind of respectful. Obviously, Glinda likes to make a fool of herself because she doesn't realize she's doing it. Okay, but I mean, she does have a presence. Okay, she makes her presence known. Okay, and she's not a heartless person. Okay, so she got that going for her. Okay, she's not evil. It's very easy. They could have just made Glinda evil, pretending to be nice, and they didn't do that. She's more complex than that, and I appreciated that. I appreciate that it's a story about both of them because they're both going to have different reactions to the same thing. Okay, they both want different things, so how they deal with the events in this movie are going to be different because they have different personalities. They have different goals, different desires, different wants. The only thing keeping them together is their friendship, okay, which they had to build on. Remember, they started off hating each other, okay? So I like the fact that this is a new experience for both of them, okay, which tells me that both of them have equal standing in the story and in the mythology of the Wizard of Oz. Okay, they're both equal forces. Okay, they're opposites, but they're both equal forces. Okay, and I appreciate that this movie respects that, respects the fact that you can't do Wicked Witch of the West without doing Good Witch of the North. Okay, because they both have equal importance to the story. You see what I mean? And I appreciate that they did that. It's easy. This whole thing could have been focused on Elphaba and nobody else, but luckily it wasn't. So I'm happy for that. All right. So moving right along. Okay. She's, like I said, Elphaba screaming at Glinda, come with me, let's go together, let's meet the wizard, and Glinda's like, oh, but I can't, this is your moment. Okay, I'm going. Okay, so it takes her 2 seconds to decide to get on the train with her. Okay, so they both get on the train, they're laying there on the train, they're laughing together, they're excited, they're going to go on an adventure together, they're going to the Emerald City. Okay, two best friends are going to the Emerald City together. Okay, and it also tells me that, despite the shit going on with Fiyero and Glinda, it's not about that. It's about their relationship. It's about Elphaba and Glinda. This movie's about their friendship. Okay, and I like that. I like that a lot. Like I said, if it was just about one character, Elphaba, I wouldn't give it that much of a shit. Okay, but it's not. Okay, and I appreciate that. All right. So anyway, like I said, not everything is bad in this movie. All right. So so they get there. She gets on there and they head to the Emerald City on the green train. All right. And they arrive and they're all giddy, okay, at the Emerald City. They're all excited. They just got there like they just landed in Disneyland, okay. And I like that Glinda, like I said before, I like that Glinda is also included, okay. It shows that this movie is about both of them, all right. So they are treated basically like royalty. If you remember the original Wizard of Oz, how the first thing that happened once they got into the Emerald City was they gave the lion, the Cowardly Lion, a perm. Okay, they gave oil and shined up the Tin Man. They gave fresh straw to the Scarecrow. You know, they gave what was it? They gave Toto like a haircut. You know, they groomed him, whatever the hell they did. Okay, all that stuff. Okay, they even did like Dorothy's hair. Well, that happens here too. Okay, they get there and there's all these salons and spas there for them. It's a girly movie written by gay guys, of course it is, all right? And that's the most important thing is you got to find the spa once you get to town. Did I tell you that a gay guy wrote this? All right, anyway, so that's going on here. Okay, they're treated like royalty. Everybody, all the citizens are wearing green. Okay, you know, and like I said before in my other video, the Emerald City was based on the White City, which was an area of Chicago in the 1800s. In 1883, Chicago had the Columbian Exhibition, the World's Fair of 1883. It was in Chicago. It was in Washington Park and Jackson Park in Chicago, connected by a midway. All right, and they built a temporary white city there to host the World's Fair. It was designed by an architect named Daniel Burnham. Okay, and it was a big event. That's the World's Fair that introduced the Ferris wheel to the world. It also introduced Cracker Jacks. Okay, yes, it also showcased the wheelchair. I mean, not the wheelchair, the electric chair for the very first time. Also, it was the very first time that you ever saw the belly dancer music. They invented it at the World's Fair because the musician didn't know what kind of music to play for this Indian old lady, so he just made it up on the spot, okay, and didn't copyright it, unfortunately, okay. All these things happened at the World's Fair of 1883 in Chicago, Illinois, okay. Obviously, L. Frank Baum was living there, okay, in Chicago. He's from there, and so he went to the World's Fair. He saw the White City and all that, and when he decided to write The Wizard of Oz, he had decided he was going to create a magical city in his narrative, okay? And instead of using the White City, everybody would have known exactly what that was referencing. So he changed it to his favorite color, emerald. He said the Green City, but his wife told him, well, emerald sounds better. So he changed it to the Emerald City. But that came from the White City in Chicago, okay? Where a lot of things happened. I highly recommend you read this book called Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. Incredible. I'm from Chicago myself, so I already know a lot about this stuff. And I've been to the White City, what used to be the White City. It's an incredible read. You should really read it. All right, anyway, moving right along. Okay, so this, of course, the fact that they ended up in the Emerald City, it goes into a song called One Short Day, which is about the Emerald City. Okay, it's a montage of sightseeing in the city, okay, which actually, the city actually doesn't look like a city, it looks like a fucking soundstage. It does. Everything's very claustrophobic and too close. It's like walking through like a Six Flags or a Disneyland, all right? It doesn't look like a real city, okay? Okay, and okay, there's an homage there to the spa treatment from Wizard of Oz. I already mentioned that, okay? And they watch a musical play. There's like this musical play right there, like a summer stock type thing going on there. So they stop and they watch this, okay? It's a little musical theater right there. Okay, and the announcer says this is the actual factual story about the Wizard of Oz. Okay, so they go to this place called the Wizomania Theater. Yes, it's called the Wizomania Theater. And they watch this tiny little production, this little musical story, okay? Okay, and apparently the magical wise one lived on, according to the musical starts, you got a host, and he's telling the story, singing it, okay, about the story, about what happened to Oz. Apparently there was a wise, magical person that lived a long time ago at the beginning of time. He created this magic. He created a book of magic called the Grimoire. The Grimoire, okay? That's the MacGuffin of the movie. That's the magical book, all right? That's another cliche from all these fantasy movies and books. Okay, the Grimoire is what it's called, all right? Well, apparently the magical one disappeared after a long time. Nobody knows where the hell he went or who he was. Okay, now this is clearly a meta scene here because it's a Broadway show, okay, that they turned into a movie, and the movie now characters are now watching another Broadway show, okay? Okay, so that's going on here, okay? And of course, Glinda and Elphaba applaud as these two old ladies, okay, arrive on stage in their costumes and they both start singing together, okay? Now, the two old ladies are played by, you guessed it, Idina Menzel and Christian Chenoweth, okay, who are both in their 50s. That's the reason they were not cast for this movie. They're too old. Okay, but apparently being in your 30s and 40s is okay because they've been doing the Broadway show since it first came out. Okay, like in 2000. All right. Anyway, so it's Idina Menzel. You also probably know her as the voice of Elsa in the Frozen movies. Yes, that's her. Okay, and Christian Chenoweth is there too. All right. So hey, basically, now Idina Menzel is known as the Queen of Broadway. That's her nickname, the Queen of Broadway. Okay, so she's definitely got the talent and the chops. I remember seeing her in a movie called, I think it was called Enchanted. It's the one where Amy Adams was the princess and she escapes the cartoon fantasy world and goes into the real world and falls in love with Dr. McDreamy, you know, the idiot from Can't Buy Me Love, you know, Patrick Dempsey, I think his name is, you know, I think he's from ER, whatever the fuck, I don't give a shit. And then, of course, her cuck boyfriend, Prince Charming, played by cuck boyfriend in real life, James Marsden, who has been cheated on in every single movie that he's ever played the romantic lead on. Everything from The Notebook to Enchanted, to the X-Men, okay, to fucking even Sonic, okay? He's been in all these movies, gets cheated on all of them, all right? Okay, yeah. James Marsters, yeah, he plays the cuck prince too. Okay, well, yeah. So Idina Menzel was in that. I just remember her being in that. All right. Anyway, so moving right along. So they show up there in their outfits. Okay, everyone applauds. Idina Menzel is actually 53 years old. Okay, and she played Elphaba in the original Broadway production. Okay. And Glinda is played by Christian Chenoweth, who is 56 years old. Yeah, so I was right. Okay, and she played Glinda in the original Broadway production. So obviously they're too old to play the characters in this movie, so they just show up and they do this little song and dance just to let the audience know, hey, listen, we know you love the Broadway actresses that portray these characters. They're too old, we can't put them in the movie, but, you know, we are going to do an homage to them in this scene here, just to give some respect. Okay, to the actresses that originated these characters on Broadway. Okay, so I thought that was kind of cool. At least they showed them in there. Okay, and they appear on stage and they're singing, you know, and whatever. Okay, and they sing about how all the wizard's magic spells were put into a book called the Grimmery. That's what I mentioned. Okay, everyone who could read it died. Okay, so they tried to cast spells from the book, but nobody could read it. Okay, but there was a prophecy, of course there was, of the chosen one. And we all know who that is. That's another fucking cliche. Every fucking movie is a goddamn chosen one. Everything from Star Wars to fucking Battlestar Galactica to fucking Mortal Kombat to fucking, you know, there's always a fucking, the Matrix. There's always a fucking chosen one. Okay, so that's explaining Elphaba's powers without explaining Elphaba's powers. Okay, she's just the chosen one, so just go with it. When she can do all these incredible things that nobody else can do, and we don't give you an excuse for why she can do those things, it's because she's the chosen one. Okay, yes. All right, so that's going on, okay. Of course, who the chosen one will light our darkest hour, just like in Transformers the movie, when the chosen one lit the darkest hour. Yeah, that was Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime. Okay, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you think I don't? All right, yeah. Hey, I'm a kid at heart. So what? Anyway, so moving right along. Yeah, so she's a chosen one. So apparently the prophecy of the chosen one means that person's going to automatically be able to read the Grimmery and save Oz, all right? So light the darkest hour, okay, and be able to read the book. Okay, now the singers, they try to upstage each other. It's kind of funny because see Idina Menzel and Christian Chenoweth, they try to push the other one out of the way and keep singing. And then the other one comes back and pushes her out of the way and to keep singing. It's pretty funny, you know. And then Christian Chenoweth makes Glinda shut up when she starts to sing. So Christian Chenoweth goes up to Glinda, who's there, and sings something. And then, of course, Glinda, Ariana Grande, starts singing, and then basically Christian Chenoweth tells her to shut up, doesn't let her sing, and keeps going, which I thought was pretty funny as well. Shut the fuck up. You're not the real Glinda. Okay, anyway, and at the end of the song, Glinda and Elphaba acknowledge that they are best friends. This is when they officially tell each other, we're friends, we're best friends, okay? And I thought that was kind of touching too, all right? Reminded me of my best friend. Anyway, so they approach the entrance, okay, where they are greeted by a blue-haired monkey guard, okay, a blue-haired monkey, okay, who we find out later on his name is Chistery, okay, and he leads them down this long corridor, Okay, at the door, Glinda tells Elphaba that she can do anything. Some more positive affirmation. You saw this in the trailer. Whenever they showed the trailer for The Wicked, they always showed everybody basically licking Elphaba's asshole during the trailer. Everybody kept telling her how great she was, how powerful she was, how strong she was. And then she ends it off with, it's the wizard who should be afraid of me. And then, of course, they showed the wizard, Jeff Goldblum, shitting his pants. You know, like the pussy that, well, everyone's a pussy when it comes to these movies because it's written by fucking gay guys and feminists. So, of course, the straight guy's always going to be the pussy. Even the fucking only straight guy in this goddamn movie is played by a fucking gay guy. So don't fucking tell me it's not true. All right, anyway, so that happens. Okay, they go in there, of course, Glinda tells Elphaba, you can do anything. Yeah, except be pretty. Okay, and then Glinda grabs her and they walk in together holding hand in hand, all right? Okay, and I'm going to stop my review right there, but I'll be back shortly to continue my review. I thank you very much for watching this long, and I will see you soon on the next one. Bye.